let me invite to the podium the gentleman that you're all here to listen to. A man who needs no introduction in the global silver supply chain. Sometimes people call him the James Bond of silver, the alchemist, the magician, the man who knows, or hopefully, we hope that he has all the answers, and that is why he has deservedly and very worthily earned the place of the first Masterclass, or the opening Masterclass of the India Silver Conference. We all know him as Mr. Phil Baker. He's the senior advisor to San Cristobal Mining, bringing nearly 4 decades of experience in global silver and gold mining, including over 20 years as CEO of Hecla Mining, which, as all of you are aware, is one of North America's largest silver producers. In his advisory role, he focuses on strategy, long life asset development, and critical role of silver in the energy transition, drawing on his leadership in large-scale operations such as San Cristobal Mine in Bolivia, and his prominence also brings him to the stage as a leading voice on structural silver deficits and market dynamics. As you're all here, I'm sure there are a lot of questions brewing in your mind. Let me invite Mr. Phillips Baker onto the stage as he delivers a masterclass on the global silver market and what you need to know.
What an act to follow, huh? Thank you so much. So this is actually my 40th year in the mining business and 25th year in silver, as it happens, and I'm really happy to be here. I'm here because, as I've said over the last 2 years, I've come not just to tell people what I know about silver, but because India is so important to the silver market. It's a place where I come to learn, and that's what I'm going to be doing a lot of over the next 2 days. I do want to introduce a couple of people. First, I'd like to introduce my partner in life, Nadine Miller, who is actually on the board of San Cristobal Mining. So she is my boss's boss. So that's a unique situation to have. And then Michael Diorenzo. Michael is the president and CEO of the Silver Institute and has been in that role for 25 years now. So thank you, Michael, for being here. He just arrived. So I was told I had 30 minutes, and then when I showed up here, I realized that I only have 15, and then I was told to make it 10 so that there's time for questions. So we'll see how this goes. What I'm hoping to do is just really highlight the things that I'm focused on and what I think people in the silver industry should be focusing on, and what investors. At the very end, I'll actually give you my view of silver prices, and I'll be interested over the course of the next 2 days getting feedback as to what you think about the future prices of silver. So let's see if I can make this work. It's not going forward. Oh, okay. So it's really our 5 things that you need to know, things that we're really focused on. Oh, and by the way, I should mention Metals Focus, after the inaugural event, will be rolling out the survey. And I absolutely rely on Metals Focus and the work that they do. They do fantastic work on silver and gold and platinum and palladium. So I hope to not steal any of their thunder, but I do have some things from the survey in here. Silver deficit. They're going to tell you that the silver deficit has been going on, I think, for 5 years. I do my own calculations using their data because I include the exchange-traded products. And so in my view, you've really had 7 years of deficit, and you're going to continue to have that. I'm going to focus a lot on supply because of that deficit. One of the real keys is, will that deficit continue, or will there be supply that will take it, will remove the deficit? And the short answer to that is silver supply peaked in 2016. you're not going to see it exceed that number for another 4 or 5 years at best. There's 6 countries that you should watch, and I'll talk about those. On the demand side, industrial demand, the demand destruction's happening as we speak, but silver is a critical metal, and we'll have a session tomorrow talking about the things that silver is doing, and because it's this critical metal, I'm not so concerned about industrial demand declining. We'll talk more about that. Silverware and jewelry, there's demand destruction happening there as well. We really saw it last year. That's going to continue, and it's all about what's happening here in India. And then investment demand is currently the biggest driver of the silver market. It is where things are really happening, and that's in the U.S. and India. So that's where you'll need to watch. So I said it's in deficit. Here's the last 7 years. You can see each of those years was a deficit in silver. 41,000 tons over the 7 years, and it's going to continue this year. I'm going to skip over that. So when you think about, will the supply fill that deficit? And the short answer is, geologically, it's not going to happen because silver, unlike gold, is a pretty rare thing to find. I put circles around the areas where you can actually find silver. If you look at the rest of South America, even in the United States, the eastern United States, you'll find gold. All of Africa, and the only place in Africa that you have silver is above the Atlas Mountains. So geologically, there's a real limit on increasing the supply of silver. Silver's mined in really 3 primary countries. It's mined in Mexico, Peru, and China. The next 2 countries are Russia and Bolivia. It's this geologic limit that you have, and as a result of this, you've got 5 countries that the best and the most stable of the countries is actually Bolivia, where San Cristobal operates, which suggests you're not going to see the sort of investment that you might expect given where the price of silver has gone. And then silver is a byproduct. 74% of all the silver comes as a result of mining other metals. And so you're not seeing the investment that you would expect to see in silver with the prices that we've reached. And silver mines are small. This is something that really surprised me. The top 30 silver mines in the world produce 40% of all of the production. The top 10 copper mines produce 40% of all the production. So this is a very, very diversified set of mines, and none of the mines are particularly large. The 30th largest mine is only producing 6 million ounces of silver, or 180 tons of silver, less than 1%. So finding mines that are sizable, that can impact the total supply of silver, is a very, very rare thing to have happen. Now you'll see San Cristobal, the company that I am the advisor to, is actually the largest primary silver producer in the world at 17 million ounces. The expectation this year is 20 million ounces of silver. So they'll see some growth, but it's not growth that makes a big difference in the amount of supply that we have. So I told you that mined silver peaked in 2016. You had a price of silver at that time of $21. You can see the couple of years before that, 2011, 2012, you saw silver was at $50. That's what drove the investment. That's what allowed silver to reach this peak of 27,000, almost 28,000 tons. We're only at 26,000 this year, and that's an increase over what we've had in the past few years, but there's no step function in the amount of silver. that's being supplied. You can see India there has had a big increase, relative to where it was in 2016. And the six, if you look at the producers, only 6 of the 20 largest producers are actual silver companies. And what does that mean? It means that you don't get the investment in silver. So when you think about the future of silver and you think about the supply side, don't be concerned that you're going to have a huge increase in supply from the mines. It takes a long time to make a discovery and then to bring it into production. In the United States, on average, it takes 28 years from the time a deposit is discovered to the time that it actually goes into production. In Latin America, you have the political issues. Unfortunately, a place like Mexico, as the largest silver producer, should be seeing significant increase in the amount of silver production. But the security issues make that very difficult. The one positive is the U.S., because silver is a critical mineral, the U.S. is improving its permitting process. And so you might see mines go into production faster in the future than what they have in the past. And you don't need to worry about recycling. Recycling is typically has been around 6,000 tons. That's not going to change dramatically. Even with these higher prices, there's just not the ability to source enough material to make a difference. So that's the supply side. Nothing is going to change the balance that we're seeing today on the supply side. So what about on the demand side? Well, my view is peak industrial demand occurred year before last, 2024. And so I think you're going to see a reduction in the demand industrially. 45% of all of that demand, it's about 8,000 tons, is in China. US, Europe, and Japan combined are about the same amount. So those 3 countries and China represent right at 90% of all the silver used for industrial purposes. You saw the tonnage increase from 2017 to 2024. That increase was photovoltaics. You're having major thrifting occurring in photovoltaics as we speak. So that's why I think we've peaked with the industrial demand that we'll have. But silver is absolutely a critical metal for the digital world. So it will continue to grow on that side. It's really amazing. If you look around India, I was just struck by this today. Everybody has a cell phone, right? And those cell phones over time will be upgraded, they'll be changed. Everybody is going to upgrade and is going to change over time their cell phones. They all have a little bit of silver in it. It's just an example of the role silver plays in our digital world. So I got a blank page here because I told you I came here to learn, and this is the place that I come to learn about silverware and jewelry demand. So during the course of the next 2 days, please educate me on what's happening and what will happen in silverware and jewelry. So the last category is investment demand. And over the past 10 years, there's only 2 countries that matter investment demand-wise, U.S. and India. The U.S. has been about twice as much demand for silver as India. Interestingly, in 2025, they've gone in 2 different directions. In the U.S., there's been a net reduction in the demand. In India, there's been a net increase. And now in India this year, twice as much investment demand than what you had in the United States. So part of what I'm interested in understanding is why that difference between the U.S. and India. So in the United States, what I know is what drives the investment demand is the debasement trade, the tariffs, interest rates, what's happening with the Fed, what was happening with litigation over the removal of a Fed governor. National politics plays a part. The banking system, as we have crisis and people just diversifying. I want to try to understand what's happening in India, what's driving the investment demand in India. So I've just put that as a question mark. So we're getting to the end here, and the comment that I would make is, notwithstanding the decline that you have in investment demand, if you include the exchange-traded products, between the exchange-traded products, the coins and bars, 15,000 tons were purchased last year. For us to see it in balance, you're going to have a COVID-sized decline. And when I look at the things that drive the U.S. interest in purchasing silver, you're not going to have that in 2026. Be interesting to see what happens here in India. So here's my final slide, and this gives you an idea of what I think is going to happen to prices. I think the most important thing is what's driving gold, is what's going to drive silver. And I think that's the least likely thing to be negative. You've got so much happening in the world. And frankly, as an American, you've got Donald Trump who, whether you like him or hate him, what he does affects gold and silver price over time. You also, in my view, you have demographics in India that favors silver demand over time and likely outperformance relative to gold. And then, of course, negative is the data centers, or is the industrial demand, what I talked about, the substitution. It's just a question of how long it's going to take to thrift. Now, you'll notice I put in very small type, not very bright font, not very bold, price predictions. So as you can see from that, it all depends on these other factors as to what the price of silver is going to do. If you kind of combine it all together, I think gold will reach $6,000. I think India will conceivably be closer to the 5% than to the 7%. And I think the thrifting is going to happen faster. So when I put all that together, my view is silver price is probably $135 to $140 before the end of 2026. And as a result, you'll see silver outperform gold. And so with that, I'd be happy to take questions if there's any time. Any questions?
Any questions, please raise your hand up. We'll send a mic across.
Thank you, Phil. This was quite a good insight. From a demand perspective, you said 2024 was the peak. You said 24 demand was peak, industrial demand, you said, right? And
that's about 21,000 tons.
21,000. So are we saying that only digital is going to lead the demand going forward?
Are we seeing what again?
Digital. You said the digital demand, right?
Yeah, look, you'll continue to have photovoltaics. You'll continue to have all the sources of demand. All I'm suggesting is at these prices, they're going to thrift. They are going to reduce the amount. But you're going to continue to have economic growth globally. And so as a result of that, you'll thrift, but there'll be the economic growth. And so you'll still continue to have, you won't have a dramatic drop in the industrial demand.
And you mentioned data centers. How are you seeing demand from data centers, especially in US?
Yeah, it's opaque to know how much silver actually goes in there. We just know they do. And we're able, and I say we, Metals Focus is able to see it sort of one step removed. So they know that it's going in there, but what the amount is, they're not able to say.
Okay, so there is no kind of data available around that?
No.
Okay, thank you.
All right, any more? Okay, that
Well, thank you very much, and please, I would just ask you to reach out to me to help educate me on silver here in India. So thanks so much.